Hey, friends. Welcome to Boldly You, the podcast for inspiring stories which consist of daring choices and transformative journeys. From entrepreneurs to everyday heroes, we are exploring the messy and motivating sides of making big changes. Whether it's a career leap or something deep, Boldly You is your go-to for living life unapologetically bold. Now, let's get right into it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Boldly You podcast. I am your host, Destiny Mackey, and today I'm super excited to bring on Tammy Vincent. She is a certified life coach and an NLP practitioner. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today, Tammy. How are you?
I am doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Destiny.
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to be on Tammy's podcast, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But Tammy is a wonderful soul. I really enjoy talking to her, so you guys are going to love listening to her today. But, so Tammy, you used to work a 9 to 5, right?
Yes, I did.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
So I had a couple different 9 to 5s, but the one that I really made me realize that I needed to get out was that I had a business that was a window business, a window and siding business. So it was literally dealing with customers sitting at a desk 9 to 5, doing sales, just listening to the corporate people tell me what to do and how to do it and what their schedule needed to, how my schedule needed to fit around their schedule. And I finally was like, this is ridiculous. This is not any kind of freedom. I had younger kids. I wanted to be there for their, parent teacher conferences and do all of that stuff. And I just couldn't do it. I could not do it with that kind of schedule.
Absolutely. And there's so many people that do work 9 to 5s. That's kind of the norm in society. And a lot of people struggle to do the same exact thing, be there for their kids, show up to family events. How were you able to navigate the transition out of that?
A clear mind as far as I need to either own it or I need to just do something completely different. So it's like I had to really write down my goals, like what I needed, what I had to do to replace what I was doing, because obviously you have to replace that income. And then really set very clear goals and kind of a timeline as to when I was going to do it. I had to give myself some very structure. I mean, it had to be structure. I had to really plan it out and know, okay, this is what I'm going after. This is what I need. This is what I'm going to do. But at the same time, these are the pros. Like, this is what I'm going to be able to do. I remember one of my bosses who had complete and total freedom of every kind used to say to me, work hard now like nobody else wants to do so you can play hard later like nobody else can do, you
Hmm.
know? And so it was a lot of planning. It was a lot of having faith in myself. And a lot of that was a lot of the journey of, can I do it? And getting over all those worries as far as what could possibly happen if I didn't do it, or if I did it and failed. And I had to get over a lot of that.
Right. Well, our society is kind of built up to be, they prepare you in school to be the perfect employee. And then they nowadays expect people to go to college and get all this debt. And then they can get a really nice job that they can work towards paying off that debt and also trying to buy a house and get a nice car and start a family. And they don't really teach you how to be a self-starter. They don't teach you how to be an entrepreneur. You basically feel like you are a slave to the system. And I would know because I went through a very similar situation. I was also in a sales job with new construction. And the thing that sucks about sales jobs is they work you to the bone. The
Mhm.
money is usually amazing, but they will work you to every last penny. They expect you to take calls on your days off. They expect you to show up when you're not supposed to be working. At least that was my experience. And I know a lot of other people have similar experiences with those sales jobs, but it's like you get all this money and you work so much, and when are you supposed to spend the money? What are you supposed to do if you don't have time to do anything with that money? What is the point?
E exactly, and, I see so many perfect examples of that. I see people like my father who worked his butt off being a stockbroker, 9 to 5, all his life, and then he went into management, and then he ended up doing restaurants, but it was always such a set schedule, and he would tuck away money and tuck it away and tuck it away, and literally at retirement age got cancer.
Mhm.
So literally spent every moment of his retirement just fighting his health, never getting to do all of the stuff he wanted to do. And it
Right.
was heartbreaking. And when they say 9 to 5, it's really not 9 to 5. I mean, if you think about, now after COVID, there's a lot more telecommuting and stuff, but the average commute is still 45 minutes.
Mhm.
So you figure, and then you have an hour lunch break, which you don't get paid for sometimes. So you're really 8 to 5 and you're really 7 to 6. So that 9 to 5 is not 9 to 5, it's 7 to 6 minimum.
Right.
And when you really equate that into that, that's all 48% of your life. It's
Yep.
just in that one place. And it's just it it just I had an entrepreneurial spirit anyway. Like I would if I would go to I remember when my daughter was 4 and she wanted to have her birthday party at one of those paint your own pottery studios.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "I'm not paying $18 an hour or $18 a kid to do that. I'll just open my own." So
Right.
sure enough, she had her 5th birthday party at our paint your own pottery studio because I
Oh.
was like, "Mm-mm, I'm not giving somebody that kind of money. I'll just open my own. I'll just do it."
Right.
And so you do have to have that spirit of being an entrepreneur, of wanting to run it and own it and take ownership and really be the biggest part of it. You need to have to want that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to be very independent, but you have to push through the doubt that is there. You also just need to have really good support system. People that support you through it. Meeting other entrepreneurs who have gone through the same thing. It's super important you have that connection because entrepreneurship's very lonely. Very lonely.
It can be.
And sometimes it feels like you are the only person supporting yourself, so that is why you need to have other people on your team to, like, cheer you on. I started mine within this past year, and I've already met so many people that are such amazing supports to me, even though we may not be in the same niche or whatever it is, it's just they understand what it takes to get there. And that is the most helpful thing. It kind of feels like you're doing like these, what do you call them? Like business meeting calls with them every once in a while, checking in with your staff and your colleagues. Hey, how's it going? What do you need help with? At least in my experience, but it's really rewarding and it'll pay off because I think the biggest misconception in society is you need to make money. You need to chase after money. Money is going to bring you happiness. But if you really think about it, I heard this wonderful example on another podcast I was listening to. It's a manifestation podcast. And she said, if I gave you $10 million and I put it in your bank account, the only condition is you can't touch it. You can never spend it. It's just going to sit in your bank account. You chased after money, right? You got all the money, but you can't spend it. So, is it money that you really want? No. It's the freedom that comes with it. It's the extra time, it's spending with your family. That's what you chase after. It's not the
Oh,
money.
yeah, because you can have $1,000,000 in the bank or $10,000,000 in the bank, but if you can't jump on a plane and go see your mother when she's sick, then what good is it? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, you need to have that's what it's all about. And it's different for everybody. I say I'd rather be absolutely poor in a little one-bedroom shack than have all the money in the world and be unhappy.
Mhm.
And that's where, and the entrepreneurial part of that is it seems like we're all going after that. I mean, I know there are people that are out there and they're just in it for the money,
Mhm.
trying to get that external, happiness, and they think that's going to make them happy. But if you really look deep, 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 most of them are still out there to do good. They're still out
Right.
there to own something and have something and share it with the world or spread a message or whatever it is. But it's you can't do all those things without money. So it's kind of like that catch 22.
Right.
You can't if you wanna say, "Hey, I wanna give to," like, I give to NACOA, which is the National Association of Children of Addicts. and I give to them. Well, if I don't make money in my entrepreneurial journey, I can't do that.
Right.
So, you do need the money, but it should not be your driving force.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I think there's so many people that wake up and have these midlife crises because their whole life, like the story you mentioned about with your father, getting up to retirement age, being able to be like, finally, I can relax, I can travel. But then that's when life happens sometimes for some people.
Mhm.
And you realize, oh my gosh, my entire life I was so worried about getting a raise or getting all this money or building up my retirement. And by the time I actually get to retirement, I'm like, what did I do all that for?
Right.
And really the balance is for me, I realized this myself, the balance is not constantly pushing, pushing, pushing and wanting the next thing and wanting to get more and more and more. It's about finding that balance where you can still enjoy what you're doing while enjoying the moment and all the things that you're missing in between, like the family events and the vacations and the trips. It's finding that happy medium so you can still do both.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're in your own business, I mean, there's going to be just as many struggles as if you're in a 9 to 5,
Mhm.
sometimes even more intense because all of the responsibility is on you. But you do have those moments. You're doing something you love. If it's your business,
Right.
if your own business, you're so like I always said that. If a good example is my husband's a fisherman. He's got his own charter business. So on his very worst day, he's still fishing. He's still
Mhm.
doing what he wants to do on his very worst day.
Right.
So that's like the goal. So it's find something. Don't, a lot of people are like, oh, I got to quit my 9 to 5. I'm just going to go out and do something.
Mhm.
Find something you love. That's one of my best suggestions is don't just go out and do something. Definitely
Right.
find something that you enjoy, whether it's, a hobby and you can turn it into a course or it's a hobby, you like to cook and you turn it into a small diner, whatever it is,
Mhm.
it's or a food truck, whatever, but do something you enjoy because then if not, you don't want your entrepreneurial journey to turn into another 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
Then you're
Absolutely.
right back where you started with just more responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you own your own business, you are your own boss, and what I love about it is I can slack off and I don't get in trouble for it. I can slack off on my own terms, which I do a lot. I need to stop doing it. But but I think the problem too is so many people have dreams of doing something, but they either think they can't make money from it or they can't afford to do it. Like I know some people that would just love to work in a coffee shop or a flower shop for the rest of their lives, but they can't afford to do that. So it's like some people feel like they need to pick up these extra jobs just to make ends meet so they can still do what they love but also be able to pay bills. But again, it goes back to the well, what are you slaving your life away for?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
Um
funny because we're in such a great age right now with the internet and with technology and with all that stuff that I it's like I almost challenge you to have a niche that we can't find a way for you to have your own business doing that niche or have a love of something. That one of the best examples was a long time ago when the internet was first getting started. I went to this like workshop on how to start your own business, drop shipping and doing these things. And the funniest example was this family used to grow wheatgrass and they made it into a kit and it was like this healthy grow your own wheatgrass kit or whatever it was.
hmm,
And they did a website and literally from their home started making $7 to $8 million a year.
wow.
And they just like to grow wheatgrass. They used it. I don't even know what wheatgrass is, to tell you the truth. I mean, I remember the story and I always repeat it, but I'm like, I don't even know what it was. Like, I certainly wouldn't have bought one of those kits, but $7 or $8 million worth of people did.
Mhm.
So it's like, that's why I said, I mean, look at Duck Dynasty. They started selling those stupid little duck whistles
Mhm.
because they like to hunt. So
Right.
there's always, it doesn't matter what your love is, you can find a way in this day and age to turn it into a business.
Right. I think the most important thing is having passion for what you do. You can really see the difference in somebody who is passionate about what they do versus not passionate about what they do. A great example of this, so I work part time at a restaurant. And one of my very first jobs, I worked at a restaurant and I was 16. I didn't care. I was like, "I don't care if their table's dirty, like, I don't care if I don't greet them and say hi," it's just that's a very 16-year-old attitude to have towards a job. Now being 28 and working at a restaurant again, this time being a server, I actually love being able to connect with people. Like, I'm very passionate about getting people a good experience and making sure their food is cooked correctly. Whereas some of the other people I work with, they're like, "I don't care, like, just eat it, whatever. Just come in and give me my tip and walk out the door." And I've gotten so many compliments from people, like a lot of regulars who come in and they're like, "Wow, like, you're just such a great server, like, you just really care about me," and, that even if I don't have a lot of tables, people are more likely to tip me more because I gave them a really good experience, and it's hard to find that, especially in the post-COVID world. But when you're passionate about what you do, other people can see it, and other people would be willing to invest in you, pay you more, whatever it is. You can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can definitely set, especially like these, there's so many healing coaches out there, and you see it. You can see when someone is lighting up about their niche and their face gets this big, and you're like, absolutely loves what she does.
Mm,
I did have the window business when I started that. I loved it, and it was because of the company. And same thing, I would get in house and sales, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to buy this because you love that window more than you love your family. And I'm
right.
like, well, not exactly, but yeah, because I believed in what I was doing, and that's why I can say, whatever you do, pick it. Pick something you love.
Mhm.
Don't pick a like, people say, "Well, any MLM." No, pick a product that you use and a product that you love and a product that you would sell to your best friend, you know?
Absolutely. I agree.
So
I agree completely. When I was searching for my restaurant job, I actually went in every interview I had and I sampled the food. I kid you not, like, I got to go food, I got, like, a sample of things because I wanted to make sure I liked the food. If I'm being a
yep.
server and I'm selling you the food and I'm talking about it and I'm telling you what's good and what's not good, like, I want to be able to like it.
Mhm.
Right. It makes sense.
Well, because people see right through you if you don't.
Yeah.
And especially, like, if your own business, if you have to be passionate about what you do. That's what people are gonna, people don't just go online and buy something by the written word anymore. They're looking at you. They're looking at your videos. They're looking at your smile on your website. They're doing a one-on-one and deciding if they wanna work with you. They have to feel that authentic energy that you
Mhm.
absolutely love what you're doing. That's how your business will grow. Otherwise, it will not.
Absolutely. No, it makes sense completely. I meant to ask you a while ago, but we got caught up in a wonderful conversation. But how how were you able to, because I know this is a problem for a lot of people who are wanting to become entrepreneurs. How exactly were you able to transition from a 9 to 5 income to an entrepreneur income? There's like that weird awkward phase where you're not really making any money. What did you do? How did you survive?
Exactly what you're doing right now, a waitressing job.
Yes.
It's such a great fallback. I was in restaurant management for many, many years, so it was very easy for me to just go, "Oh, I'll just be a server." And and with a plan, like with an exit plan,
Right.
so but it was a little, part-time jobs, also disciplining myself when I knew it was coming to set, instead of setting aside 10%, setting aside 10% and then another 10%, and really kind of tightening up the belt straps while you are still in the 9 to 5. So that
Okay.
you kinda had, I always say I'm one of those people that I never worried about losing a job, honestly, because I always had a backup plan. I always had a plan
Mhm.
B. I also like to have a plan C, D, E, and F.
That's smart.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was times, I've lost a job before where, literally my husband would come home and be like, "Did you sell the kids on eBay?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't sell the kids on eBay.
Not today.
They're still here, don't worry." And you just have to have a plan, but you have to keep pushing and really just keep being consistent with whatever you're doing. So, like, if you have that second job, take that second job and literally do not touch that money. That
Mhm.
is your startup money.
Absolutely.
Also, like you said, that it's all networking. I mean, most people know when they're getting ready to transition what that final destination is going to be. So start building the connections for that so that you're not just, you know, dropping it and then being like, okay, let's start a nine to, start being an entrepreneur now. You already have connections. You already have kind of a business plan. You have it all in place so that even if you did, because a lot of people do, a lot of people go and become an entrepreneur because they lose their job.
Mhm.
And they're like, okay, now it's like poop or get off the pot. I have to do something. It has to work right this second.
Right.
So it's just a lot of it is just really believing in yourself that you can do it
Mhm.
and having a plan, going to a business coach or talking to a financial person, knowing what it's going to cost you. Be realistic about it
Right.
because yes, you can have your first year be at $100,000, but the majority of people are not going to do that.
Right.
They say an average, and again, now that we're doing a lot more stuff online and virtually, there isn't quite the overhead sometimes in a startup business
Mhm.
or having your own thing. So you don't have to be like, okay, well, I got $9,000 a month worth of bills for my new job. A lot of
Right.
time it can be, I have $300 a month worth of bills for my new job, for well, not my new job, but my new adventure, I like to call
Right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely don't wanna put all your eggs in one basket, especially if it's not proven yet to succeed. But was there ever a period in your transition where you just felt like, "What am I doing? Should I go back to a 9 to 5? Why am I doing this?" Did you ever have any self-doubt?
Absolutely. And that's so normal. They call it imposter syndrome, but it's really
Mhm.
just a lack of confidence. And I call it was just a break in my resiliency. Like
Mhm.
there was periods where I just was like, I can't do this. This is crazy. I mean, it's just easier to work, even if it's 20 bucks an hour or 15 bucks an hour. And I did, you're gonna have those thoughts.
Absolutely.
But you just gotta push through. You gotta like I literally had a list, people make vision boards. I had a list of pros and cons, like reasons I should keep going, reasons I shouldn't. And my
Right.
list of reasons I shouldn't was literally things like because I'm lazy, because I don't believe in myself.
At least you're
I mean,
honest, right?
be-
Be honest with yourself.
I was just being real because yeah, when you're in that situation, you have to really self reflect because all the stuff that you have up here about why you can't do it is all made up. Nobody else but yourself is telling you you can't do it.
It's
So,
your brain trying to protect itself from any potential harm, and it's
yep,
an unknown territory, so it's gonna do that, but sometimes you just have to push through
mhm,
anyway and just be like,
yep,
"I need to believe in myself." Believe in what you're doing, whatever it is that you're selling, you have to believe in yourself or else
yep.
it's gonna flop.
Yep, and it's you're gonna hear that little you're gonna I used to have conversations, I talk about it because I work with people and do, like, a lot of inner child work and journaling work and stuff like that, and I literally would have written conversations with my inner critic, where I would write letters to it, like, "Stop telling me you can't do it, you're goofy, like, you shouldn't even be here," you know? It's
Right.
like of course I can do this. I run successful businesses before and this will not be the last one if I don't want it to be. Like
Yes.
this is going to work.
Right. And like you said, you had a backup plan too, and you can always just say to yourself, if this really does not work, I can always go back to whatever. Maybe try again in the future. I know with me this past year, I've cried so much over my own shortcomings, we'll say, and there was so much of me being challenging to myself, and it made me upset, like, I would just have moments where I'd be so frustrated, and I'd just start crying, and I'm like, "What am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Should I just go back to my sales job, my 9 to 5, whatever?" And then I just give myself that time to kind of be upset, but then once I'm done, I'm just like, "Alright, I don't got time for this. Like, I got work to do. I'm gonna jump right back into it." Sometimes you need to get those moments out. You just have to let the emotion out too,
Oh yeah.
but just get right back into it.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, I mean, a lot of people were in the 9 to 5 for so long because that's what they were told makes them successful.
Right.
You grow up, you go to college, you get a good job, you have benefits, you have a pension, and that's what you do. And that is where your success lies. So it's like you're fighting everything you believed in your whole life to say, I'm going to step out and have nothing for a little bit, and I'm
Mhm.
okay with that. So there's a lot of mindset work you have to do and a lot of convincing to yourself. And a lot of people have major money blocks. They've seen their parents say, "Oh, did you see Uncle Johnny? He started a business and it failed and now he's homeless." And you have to just, that's okay. That was Uncle Johnny. Like,
Mhm.
screw you, sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, you have to, there's a lot of that you're going to be fighting because a lot of people, not most people, a lot of people don't have support. Like, that's why you said, and I love that you mentioned that you got to find a support system.
Mhm.
If, they say that the 5 people that you hang around with the most, what you're never going to make more than the average of their income.
Right.
So if
Right.
you're hanging around those toxic people that are not ever wanting to do anything except their 9 to 5, then that's what you got. So get away from them.
Exactly.
Get with the people that are going to bring you up, motivate you, and push you.
Right. That have that ambition, have that passion, have that same drive that you do. It's super important. Super important. Well, Tammy, I know we are getting close to time, but I wanted to ask you, how can you choose to be bold going forward?
Everything is a choice. Every choice you make, you have to know your end goal and you have to know what you have to do to step out in that end goal. So every single choice you make has to be for that final destination. And if it is not, and you're not being bold and being honest to yourself, don't do it. Just
Mhm.
let it go.
I love that. I love that. That's great. I love about Tammy is she's just very like, you're very direct in the best way. Like you don't sugarcoat things. You're just like, it's all or nothing, baby. I love that about Tammy.
Well, I've had a lot of my clients tell me, "We like you because you're like a no BS coach. Like, you tell us what we need to hear, not what we wanna hear, what we need to hear."
Right. Like we're
But in a
not
gentle and loving
BFFs.
way.
Oh, absolutely. Like, not military style or anything like that. We don't need to do that. But just being straight up like, no, you will not succeed if you do not do A, B, and C correctly, or if you avoid A, B, and C. Don't be like, oh, I don't know, it's not looking so good. Just you gotta be direct.
Mhm. If you go for it, know that failure is not an option.
Absolutely. I love that, Tammy. Thank you so much. Before we end the episode, is there anything that you would like to promote to the listeners today?
I do have a new group coaching program. I believe, as people now, my coaching is tailored primarily around adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. I believe that if you grew up in that chaos, that you have already paid the price. So I do not believe that you should have to pay a lot. So I do have a very affordable group coaching program that I would love for you, and you can just connect with me on my website or wherever, but would love for people to check it out. I do give out 2 free weeks so people can try it before they buy it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. And I'm sorry, how long is it?
It's an ongoing group coaching program. So there's
Oh,
a
excellent.
course that goes along with it that I like people to purchase so that I can reference them, but if not, it's an open group coaching, and I I'm just there. It's almost like open office hours for support and coaching and whatever people need.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, definitely, if you are interested, go to Tammy's website, take a look. Like I said, she's a wonderful person. She's got a lot of knowledge. She's very direct, but some of us need that. So, well, thank you so much, Tammy, for being on today's episode and being a guest today. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope I could bring you on again, too.
Well, thank you, Destiny, and thank you to all the listeners out there for taking the time to listen. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening today. Feel free to catch us on the next episode, and you all stay bold, okay? And that's a wrap on another episode of Boldly You. I hope you're feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to make some bold moves in your own life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Connect with us on social media. Share your own bold moments, your challenges, and your victories. We want to hear from you. Until next time, this is Destiny Mackey, urging you to be you and be bold.